The most controversial movie of the year, The Interview, is as dead as Kim Jong-un in that leaked scene from The Interview. I'd say that's a spoiler alert, but it's only a spoiler if you can watch the movie. And today, Sony canceled the Christmas Day release of The Interview. Mark, this comes on the heels earlier today of a bunch of theaters chains, many of them in America, that said they weren't going to screen the movie. I got to ask, a cliched, hackneyed question, but everything we found out today, have the terrorists now won?
They've won for now. Look, we still don't know who did it. I think it's the North Koreans. A lot of people disagree with me. But whoever did it, they didn't want this movie shown. It's now not going to be shown. And I think it's incumbent upon everybody in the country, whether you're in the media, the movie business, politician, whoever you are, if you care about freedom, we're going to have to figure this out. And the other thing is, we've got to get to the bottom of who did it. Have to.
Right, but let's be clear about one thing. It's interesting. These two things are going to get conflated in a minute, right? Which is that the hack raises all kinds of problems, right? Stolen material. Should the press report about it? We've talked about that on this show. This is a separate thing. It's connected, right? I mean, if it's the same perpetrators. But what has happened here is threats have been issued. Whether the hack had happened or not, terrorists could have threatened to attack movie theaters where this movie was going to show up. And that is, I think, the thing that's driving the movie theaters first, the cinema chains, to first shut this down. And now the company. Yesterday, I predicted on the show that I thought Sony would face this very quickly. They cannot, Sony, even though it's not their fault, they cannot allow a movie to open that presents a significant chance of anyone getting hurt or killed.
They already face so much legal liability. They're already, as we said yesterday,
and
sued
PR,
by employees,
and PR liability.
So they couldn't risk people's lives. Even if the law enforcement sources talking to them say what they're saying to the press, which is they didn't see this as a credible threat. It's too big a risk. But the law enforcement has got to get to the bottom of this. Again, all the subsidiary issues that you mentioned. In this country, if a major corporation is hacked, we have to be able to get to the bottom of it, catch the people. Even if it's not a deterrent, we've got to send the message that we won't tolerate that as a country.
I agree with that. My hope going towards this Christmas, I want to see this movie because I think it's going to be very funny. And what my hope is that between now and Christmas Day, the authorities will apprehend the people who are making the threats, and will know who the hacker was, and that Sony will be able to reverse this decision and open this movie on Christmas Day. That would be the best Christmas present we can get.
What if they make it available online for like $250?
I'd pay it. I'd pay more.
Is that a good solution?
Well, it might be a solution. It might be a solution. I mean, it'd be interesting to know if that would actually address a bunch of business model challenges the movie industry has. But I think, day and date release, put it on pay-per-view. Maybe that's the answer to this thing so that freedom-loving Americans can watch Seth Rogen and James Franco blow up Kim Jong-un's head.
Now, the buzz of the movie isn't very good.
I don't care.
This would be I'm just saying, it'd be a much different debate if it were a masterpiece.
Well, maybe it'd be different. The fundamental issues are still.
I think theaters felt like they could get away with not showing it.
Well, maybe, except for I do think that, look, once you start to have threats against movie theaters, you're just not going anywhere.
Yeah.